uhi no te rarawa anō hoki. I te puakea ki te uru o Tamaki Makaurau, heoi kei Waikato ahau e noho ana i tēnei wā. He kaiarahi parakore ahau ki ngā rohe o Maniapoto, Waikato, Hauraki, me Raukawa. Ko te kaipapa o tēnei, kōrero i tēnei wā, ko te Kope Toitu. So I'll be speaking about our cloth nappies and how we could normalize using these for the benefit of our mokopuna and Te Taiao. Ka pai, so next one. So what I'll cover is what they are, what are Kope Toitu, why we should be using them, and just briefly, how was it done in the past. We'll also look into the rangatiratanga of the pepe.
You want to hear me?
Right, ora.
What? Eru.
Sorry. Yeah, so possibly going kope kore, so the pepe experiencing no kope, how to use them, what to do after changing, how to wash, how to dry, and I'll just go over a brief example of how that's being implemented into a kōhanga. And then we can wrap it up with some questions if anyone has any pātai. So yeah, okay. Okay, ka pai. So tuatahi ake, what are Kope Toitu? Please put your whakaaro or experiences into the chat. Just think, because there might be whānau out there currently using them, so they might have tips. Just a disclaimer, I have no pepe myself. However, I've had experience in my mahi changing kope on pepe. So yeah, that's kind of my experience in terms of nappies in general. However, I'm sure the whānau and the parents out there would have a lot of tips. So please share them. Yeah, so tuatahi, what are Kope Toitu? So essentially they are exactly like a disposable except reusable. So you're going to change them and you're most likely going to put them into the rubbish bin. So it's the same process, except you're putting them into a bucket to wash later. So instead of accumulating a lot of disposable nappies, which is quite huge in Aotearoa, we're essentially reusing, around 30 Kope Toitu for a pepe. I don't know if you can see the screen, but this is an example of them. They're not the ones where it's a big cloth with a pin. So they're quite, developed now. They're quite flash actually. So this one has Velcros. It's got some domes as well to make it shorter. So most of the kope are one size fits most. However, they come with inbuilt liners. Some have them attached to it. The ones that we are sharing with our whānau are all in one. So this is the liner bit. You have to put it inside before you wash. But essentially, it's quite a neat design because they're really easy to use, and the process of drying them and washing them is quite simple. Yeah, so I actually forgot to mention, but all of this kaupapa and the content that we are using comes from Kate Meads. So she's been in the zero waste education space for around 17 years, and she started with her pepe, and so she's been helping ECE around Aotearoa transition from cloth nappies from disposable to cloth nappies. So we've been lucky enough to partner with Kate to take on her mātauranga and the work that she's already done, so we can adapt it into our kaupapa Māori, framework to deliver it to whānau and kōhanga, and ECE as well. However, our whānau Māori, especially the ones who don't have access to these type of resources, are a priority for us. However, we help and support everyone. Yes. So why do we use Kope Toitu? There's so many, in essence, it's been a great kaitiaki, and also setting a great example for our tamariki and their mokopuna for when they're gonna start, having to use kope. But I'd like to just put out some figures around this. So in the PP's first 2.5 years of using kope, it's estimated that they would use about 6,000 disposable nappies. And then if you have a PP of 1 at home, generally every week it's producing 50% of your total rubbish weekly. And that figure is 60% for kōhanga and ECE. So, straight away, just one little mokopuna PP can produce so much waste that moving towards reusables is such a, I think, important step to, just to try it out first, but to also make it habit. We're so used to, and even myself used to, the convenience of using disposables and using plastic, usually single use. And when it comes to kope, the PP could be in it between anything between seconds to a couple of hours before you're having to change and dispose of it, whereas the reusables can be used at least 300 times. So essentially one reusable is eliminating 300 disposable nappies. And if you think about it, in that 2.5 years, they're using 6,000 disposables. So yeah, that's a reason why we should be using them, to divert waste going to landfill. And also it's, when they are sent to landfill, they're taking at least 500 years to decompose, but they're also, they're staying here longer because they're breaking down into microplastics and nanoplastics. So they're not fully, they don't just disappear. Yeah, so those are, a bit of a why. However, we know that circumstances are different for every whānau. What we want to do is just to make it aware that this is an option, because whānau might just be so used to disposables that they don't even know that there are other options to even consider. So yes, that's why. How did our tupuna do it? So I'm not too sure. However, we've got another wānanga, our ikura wānanga, which is happening after this. Great kaupapa. Anyway, we were looking at what they used in terms of managing their monthly cycle, and what came up was cloths, so type of kope, type of cloths. Also, natural fibers such as angi. So I don't know who has research on this, but it would be awesome if we had some kōrero around this to actually back it up. But from our perspective, we know that it would have been something naturally biodegradable, compostable, because we live off the Te Taiao, with the Te Taiao, And we didn't have plastic then, so we know that, you know, our tupuna wouldn't have a landfill filled with plastic that, you know, to look after their pipi or to cover their pipi. So yeah, I'm keen to hear your fellas whakaaro on what you think our tupuna did. If we were looking back into, like, I don't know, to our parents, maybe grandparents, or maybe now your aunties or someone that you know, cloth nappies with the pins might have been the use in your whānau. So, you know, there's been a bit of a development. Now we've got this flash Velcro dome looking kope, so we've definitely changed from the pins. However, I think what's important is that what was used was reusable or able to give back to Papatūānuku in a, I don't know, a mana enhancing way, if, you know, for lack of a better description. Yeah. Okay. Moving on. So rangatiratanga or kope kore, we've put this in, and it's not to tell, you know, parents what to do with their pipi. However, we've found that giving the pipi time out of the kope makes them more in tune with, you know, it's all with their natural body, their flow. And actually identifying when they are going to the wharepaku, whether it's tiko mimi, they can actually feel it, because the disposables actually absorb the liquid straight away, so they're not able to, you know, feel the cues or know that they're actually going wharepaku. Whereas the reusables, it will absorb all the liquid, however, they're going to feel it first. So they're going to pick up, oh, I've just went and it's dry now. However, they're feeling that sensation. Another kaupapa that we've encouraged is to let them out of their kope. So they, you know, because everything's quite restricted. And just a note that with the disposables, they have chemicals and plastic embedded into, you know, their into the disposable. So when that's rubbing against pipi, you know, there's going to be some type of, you know, there might be some reaction to it. So yeah, we definitely encourage just letting them be free. You never know, they might reach out to the wharepaku and might start their kope or their toilet training early, because they're recognizing that, oh, I need to go, especially after they wake up. So that's a good time to start prepping them for the wharepaku. However, it's a trial and error, and even if you give it, you know, 1 day a week, just give it a go. Yeah. Moving on. How do we use Kope Toitu? So unlike your disposables where it's just, you know, it's straight flat, we've got kope that have inserts. You can add liners to them. The one that I have now are all in one. So I don't know if you can see that, but you've got a insert bit where you can put your hands right there. So I'll show you here. So if you put them in there, it makes it easier for you to put the liner back into the kope. So it's quite simple and easy. You need to pull it, and then it just looks like your normal disposable kope. However, it's got, you know, some Velcros and stuff to keep it into place. Yeah, and I'm just gonna move on. So the thing with these kope, when you're finished, once you've changed them, you must take the liner out so everything is washed properly. And in terms of washing and processing it, once you change the kope, you put it, instead of putting it into the rubbish bin where all our disposables are going, you put it into a bucket so you can deal with it later. There's no need for soaking. Do not bleach or use any fabric softener because it degrades the material. Yeah, and then if it's just a mimi, then you can put it into a box, no water, or a bucket until you're ready to deal with them. So you might want to fill it up for like the whole day and then wash them. However, for if they've done like tiko, then if you can't deal with it straight away, you can put it into a ice cream container to to take care of it later. Another note is that with our disposables, there should be a label on a info on the packet saying that you must scrape off or take off the excess tiko before placing it into your landfill bin. And that's because it's human waste, right? So it's a lot of contaminants. If you're going to put, loads of disposable nappies of tiko, the people who are coming to pick up your rapahi are going to have to process, go through them. So it is a health and safety. And yeah, so similar to what's supposed to be happening with the disposables, you need to do it for the reusable. So before putting it into the wash, make sure you're taking off that excess tiko. And then it just helps with washing and, so you don't have heaps going into your washing machine, etc. So if you have your own kope for your own pepe at home, then you can put them on a normal wash. However, if you're doing it at an ECE or a kōhanga reo, they must be washed at 60 degrees. And then you have to have a type of sanitizer. So we use canistine. I'll show you a picture towards the end of what that looks like. So you must use the canistine, and Kate Meads has suggested using personal sensitive. So emphasis on the sensitive, because they've found that it's all good with nearly all the pepe. And the sensitive, I guess it also helps with the keeping of the material, knowing that it's gonna be looked after and well used if you're using those products. And another note from Kate was that you should follow the direction of your washing powder. So don't use too much or too little, otherwise they're not going to wash fully. So if you're using kope for kōhanga, they must be at, or ECE, they must be at 60 degrees. However, if they're for your own pepe at home, then ke a koe. How to dry them. So tamanui te rā, that's the best, that sanitizes everything. So that's our first preference. However, we're going into the colder seasons that might not be possible. So hanging them on a clothes horse or a clothesline before putting them into the dryer is recommended. And if you are using a dryer, they must be on low. They can't be any higher, otherwise they're just gonna degrade the fabric. and then, you know, they're not going to last as long. So this is our tauira of what's been happening in te kōhanga reo o Te Koitu. They've got their setup here. You know, they're lucky that they have a bench space to process and to wash their kope. I know it's not the same for every kōhanga or ECE. However, you know, just trying it and seeing what works for you. It usually takes 1 to 2 weeks to get the team adapted to the new system, because you know, we're so used to just change and then put it into a rubbish bag and that's it. However, with Kope Toitu, there's a few more steps before you're restocking a kope. So they've got their Persil, they've got their canistine, and that's what it looks like. Kate has, you know, really said that in order to safely share the kope amongst the different pepe, that canistine must be used to, you know, to fully to sanitize the kope so they're safe to share. And like I said about using a bucket, you know, you don't have to go buy a new bucket. I'm sure you have some around. You might have whānau or you know, or friends that have big type of buckets that you can borrow. Obviously, reusing, repurposing is what we want to encourage before purchasing anything. So that's what they've used. You know, that was, I think they've got a similar bucket for their pigs. So, you know, they didn't have to go out and buy things. They've just utilized what they've had in their kōhanga. So when they've been using Kope Toitu for nearly a month now, and why they joined on, so we're in a pilot stage at the moment with Parakore. So why they decided to join was that it was an opportunity. It was a great opportunity for them, but also it aligned with their 5-year strategic plan of being, you know, good kaitiaki. So yeah, it just aligned with their kaupapa. They were familiar with Kope Toitu, so they had 3 pepe already in them. However, with the implementation of this program, they've managed to get 15 pepe into kope. And it wasn't, you know, just, it wasn't straight away. They had their 3 already in the Kope Toitu, so they added 2 over the next couple of days. Then they added, you know, they went up to 9 until they went to fully to 15 pepe into the kope. And I highly recommend doing something similar where, so, you know, where you want to start small, get into the groove of things, knowing, okay, this is how long it takes to wash, to dry. Now we can add some more pepe to it, and then, you know, get an idea of how long the process is going to be. For Te Koitu, their pepe are coming in disposables. However, they're leaving with disposables as well. So the parents have, you know, they bring like two kope a day for that to happen. And throughout the day at the kōhanga, they'll be in Kope Toitu. We've also want to provide support for the whānau who might want to transition their pepe into Kope Toitu at home. So we can support them with whānau packs. So, you know, they might be using it at home. They bring them into kōhanga with their Kope Toitu, and then they can leave with Kope Toitu and take the ones that from home, put them into a wet bag. So the parents can, you know, deal with their ones, and then the kōhanga just stay with their set and it stays at the kōhanga. What else? A kōrero from one of the kaiako at Te Kope Toitu, media. She said that, you know, it's a good, this is a, it might be hard at first, but just to give it a go. And, you know, us as Māori or tangata whenua, we always talk about kaitiakitanga and all of that. So, you know, doing something similar or doing using reusables is a great way to practice that. However, yeah, so ko tāna me ngana, just give it a go and don't give up, because yeah, if it was easy, I'm sure we would all do it. Yeah, so that was her. She just said to all you other whānau or kōhanga, just please give it a go and don't give up, because it's worth it in the end. Yeah, so I'm coming towards the end. I'd just like to end it off with how much whānau could be saving. So, sorry. Yeah, so it's estimated that whānau could be, you know, spending up to $6,000 on disposables. Oh, wait, sorry, there's $4,500 on disposables. Whereas if we were to transition to reusables, that can look up to from anywhere from $200 to $1,500. So that's a significant difference. And obviously it doesn't have to be new, it could be secondhand. Kate has recommended any Kope Toitu that's from $11 upwards to $40, which is a good price for these kope. However, yeah, so that's a, and yes, it's cheaper. However, the getting in there, the barrier to actually starting is huge. So we can't expect all our whānau to, you know, just to one-off buy these Kope Toitu for $1,000, which is why Parakore are here to help with that. And I won't get into much detail on how that works, but you know where we are. You can message any of the kaiarahi and we'll be happy to support you on whether you have a whānau or kōhanga or ECE, or if you are yeah, social service provider that help whānau with their pepe. Love to hear from you and see how we can help and support them. Yes, one last thing before I open it up for questions is that it's estimated that every day we send 1 million kope, disposable nappies, to landfill. So in a week, that's 7 million a week. However, if everyone in Aotearoa were to replace just one of those disposables and start using a reusable, as a collective, we can divert 1 million kope a week. So, you know, from 7 million to 6 million, it's quite of a big jump. And that's from one kope being replaced. So, you know, aha ko he iti, he nui o ngā hua. So I guess my point to you is that even though it's, you know, you might think it's one, it's actually contributing to a bigger picture and to leaving us with a better taiao for our mokopuna. So yeah, koira taku. I can't see any, I'm going to look at the chat if there's any questions, but tēnā koa, whiua mai o pātai, and I'll attempt to answer them. Cool. I'm just going to read some comments out actually, because there's a few good ones here. From Holly. Oh, kia ora, please. So they use drying racks and dehumidifiers, then put them in the dryer near the end. Sometimes the drying rack and dehumidifier does it alone. Cool. So that's a great tip. Because our kope, they get the materials are flashier these days, so they're more they're faster drying. So I just saw Holly's comment saying that they use drying racks and dehumidifiers, so that helps a lot. Tony, she said if you have a heated towel, oh yeah, a heated towel rack rail is cool too. In a court after seeing the pipi and then met the kōhanga. Oh, here's a question from Jody. Did you find some whānau from the kōhanga converted to disposables of their own accord? Oh, okay. So with Te kōhanga reo, I went to the kaiako first and, just wānanga with them about the kaupapa. Then they went to their whānau hui and pretty much told the parents that this is a kaupapa that they're going to be going on. So do you have any raru or pātai or Christians? Everyone were, most of them were all for it, except for, I think, 2 who were a bit concerned about the sharing of the kope, which is, understandable. So they've just keep their pipi out of the pilot. However, they're coming around to it because they've seen all the pipi in the reusables. And actually, one of the parents, she has 3 pipi in disposables, so she's seen the benefits of of saving money when purchasing the disposables throughout the week. So I think once you anything new, it's going to be a bit scary or you're a bit unsure. However, when you see it implemented and see it in action, then you can gain more awareness and know, oh, okay, maybe that tamaiti's looking happy in their new kope, maybe my tamaiti would too, so it usually takes a while for whānau to get used to it or to grasp the concept of Kope Toitu. However, it's that's their choice and we don't want to tell them, force them to use them. It should be on their own accord and in their own time. Okay, so Tony said you can put them in the hot water cupboard to finish off drying in the winter, but any time in the sun and the wind is good. Yes, our atua are amazing. So, and free as well. So definitely outside, even if it's, for an hour or so before it starts raining and then putting it into the dryer. What we want to do is not make the dryer the first point of contact for the kope. We always want to prioritize the tamanutera and the natural elements first. A pātai from Kyra. How many reusables do you recommend to start with when transitioning to reusables? At least one. But if you have one and you're gonna maybe practice with that one, how long it takes to wash, how long it takes to dry. One is good enough. However, if it's 1 pipi, we want to do it maybe upwards to 12, and that's just so you're not having to constantly wash and dry throughout the day. You've got some to use. Maybe you want to do washing the next day and let that accumulate. That wasn't possible for Te Kōhanga reo because they just didn't have the time. So they made it a priority to make sure, bulk up all the kope that needs to be washed and do it in one go, because it's not viable for them to do it the next day and have all these paru kope or kope that need to be dried. It's just, it's not doable for them. However, it might be doable for you at home or for other centres. Just depends on how many staff you have and how you can work it in with people. Another thing from media, she said that communication is key. So, if we all want the same waka, we all want to get to the same destination, we have to work as a team and not go on your different tangents. So that for them, that looked like getting, whoever was going on their break, say, oh, hey, can you check the dryer, or can you check the washing machine, or can you load it up? Like all these different little tasks, they were done at different times by different kayako. And they knew the mission was to, at the end of the day, have them washed and dried. How they got there might look different every day. So, and she definitely stressed the fact that if you need help, then, signal out. Don't get stressed over this. It should hopefully be a seamless process. So Holly has said, I have been recommended that 12 to 15 is enough for one pepe, but like the idea of building up one at a time. 12 to 15 will do you for 2 and a bit days. Cool. So so if you have for one pepe, 12 to 15 kope is ideal. However, at least one, because that one is going to contribute to that bigger picture of diverting it from landfill. Any other pātai? These are great, by the way. Okay.
I've got a pātai, because so I missed half of your presentation, aroa mai. But so what was the savings per tamariki at the kōhangas?
Savings.
Like when they divert, or when they change into kope, cotton kope, what were the savings that the kōhanga would make, like in terms of the rubbish pickups and the and I think there was savings there somewhere, so that's another attractive part for our kōhangas.
Yes, for their rubbish pickup, it's estimated that like 60% of their total rubbish would be kope. So if that's 60%, you're essentially eliminating that. So they've decreased the amount going to landfill, therefore saving them money. So for parents, because they're bringing in their own disposables, it could be upwards to like $4,500 that they will be spending in that 2.5 years. So after the one-off cost of purchasing the reusables, which is like $1,500 max, they're gonna save all that money. So essentially the parents aren't going to have to bring in disposables anymore, therefore no money going towards kope. But also for the kōhanga as well, they're not spending money taking them to landfill. I hope that answered your question, because sorry, I couldn't give you a straight up figure. I think we've got 1 more minute left. Does anyone have any brand recommendations Or do you know if there are any Māori businesses that are doing Kope Toitu? Because we would obviously love to support them and source our kope locally and nationally. So if you have any kōrero on that, that would be great. Where can you get them? Yes. So we've got the Tutti brand. Bambino Mio is another that we use. Be good to try. Yes, so Jody, definitely this is a great wānanga for the parents because we want them to come on board because it's their PPA. So what would usually happen is that we will wānanga with the staff and get them on board so they know what Kope Toitu are and how it might look like to implement into their kōhanga or into their centre. And then obviously following up from that, we want to get the parents' permission. Unless it's already been decided by them in the kaiako. Yes, Tony, she's said that Facebook marketplace, they've got a lot of secondhand kope. Holly said the kōhanga up in Te Taiao, they're liking the Bambino Mio, so that's a brand that we use. Oh, Holly has said, because she's been helping a group up in Te Taiao. She said that parents once they've swapped, they're saving around $40 to $50 a week. And of course, there are upfront costs buying the reusables, but long-term savings in the end. So that's a lot, especially now with inflation. $40 to $50 can get you a lot. And just the savings on one PP alone. And if you think about three, you know, there was one parent who had three PP and kope, that would be, you know, upwards to around $150 a week. So these are really significant price, you know, savings. However, you know, getting them started and the upfront cost is a barrier. So our whānau having to be more dependent on the disposables, even though they might want to, you know, they might want to transition. Yeah, so having that support is huge. Oh, I was just going to read this from Edith. So she is working with Sam, our one of our other kaiarahi. So that Ropu has 6 mums using Kope Toitu. Courage, we bring in a 2 so mums can make their own. Okay, cool. So it looks like that they're being guided by a tutor and make their own and have a chef for them. Oh, and that they're going to create, they're creating their own kope. And also, once they're finished with them, then they can circulate it and share them amongst each other. So another good way of doing that is to have a nappy bank. So once you're finished with your kope, you know, I don't know, it could look like a your local, I don't know, what's it called, community center maybe, where they might have almost like a seed bank, except it's for kope. So we know that after you've finished using them, they're going to another pepe to reuse. And yeah, I mean, it's fine if you want to go buy it from the shops or new, but you know, we want to utilize what we have already. Yeah, and that comes over that consumerism and all of that. But yes, it's a lot of kōrero around this. I think definitely over time, But if anyone has any last kōrero, please share them now. Otherwise, I think we're ready for lunchtime. Oh. Okay, kia ora koutou. I'm going to end this off there. I'll close this off with a karakia. If you have any, any pātai, please message the parakore. There's a chat, or message the chat, or you can DM parakore on the Zoom, or message me directly. Also, if you don't know about parakore, then go check out our website, parakore.maori.nz. It's got all the info there. But yeah, I really love this kaupapa, and I think it's so important to make it normal again, normalize these resources and these practices. So if you have any pātai, please message me and I'll be happy to support and answer them. Ka pai. Hei whakakapi tēnei wāhanga, kia unui tātou. Unuhia te urutapu nui, kia wātea, kia māma, te ngākau, te tinana, te hinengaro i te aratakatū, koiara e rongo whakaeri ake ki runga, kia tina.
Tina.
Haumi e, hui e.
Taiki e.
Kia ora koutou.